Well, g'day to my mates. We're going to talk it over. Great message from Craig on the weekend. And there's one scripture I want us to talk about in Genesis 29. Here's the context. Laban, he's got these two daughters, all right? One's just beautiful. She's a stunner. The other one, well, let's just say she's got a nice personality, and her name was Leah. So Jacob, man, he's smitten. He falls in love with Rachel. And he says to Laban, I'll work for you 7 years if you give me your daughter, Rachel. So 7 years goes by, and finally Laban says, all right. So Laban has a big dinner and a big party, a big festival, the wedding feast. And here's what happens in verse 23. But when evening came, Laban, he took his daughter Leah, the one that's not so good looking, and gave her to Jacob. And Jacob lay with her. So Jacob's had a few drinks. He's kind of, a little bit under the influence. And he didn't realize until he wakes up in the morning. And here's what the scripture says. He says, what is this you've done to me? I served you for Rachel, didn't I? Why have you deceived me? So Jacob felt deceived that Laban had done the old switcheroo. A real interesting story, and there's a lot more richness that you can read. But here's a point I want us to draw today. When we talk about our spouse and when we talk about marriage, we need to understand that our spouse or our marriage is not the thing that satisfies us. If we look to our spouse to meet our needs, we're putting unrealistic expectations on them. You see, God is to be our number one. He's the one that fulfills us. He's the one that satisfies us. Yet so often, we think that we need a Rachel. We think we need this perfect person that's going to meet our needs, it's going to satisfy us, it's going to help us be all we can be. And that's not true. God is our number one. Our spouse is our number two. So maybe you're putting unrealistic expectations on your spouse. Maybe you're expecting them to be something that they're not. I want you to recognize God is your number one. Your spouse is your number two. Our role is to love and to serve them and recognize that, our fulfillment, our contentment comes from our God. I hope that means something to you and that you have a great day. God bless.